In this tutorial, I'm going to be arranging our new Autumn Brambles Deluxe arrangement, which, as you can see, is kind of those lovely tones of kind of the blush, the browns, and yeah, just lots of texture. And like our focal flower is going to be these lovely beige achillea heads. And I'm using our lavender bars, a real classic with lovely proportions that suits this arrangement perfectly. So first up, we're getting in our blush eucalyptus, a very good staple stem to have for autumn. It's just, yeah, if you're not somebody that loves too much seasonal change in your home, then the blush eucalyptus is ideal. So I'm just bending these down so that they're at varying different heights and so that everything feels as natural as possible. And don't worry too much at this point if things are moving more than you want them to. That's totally normal when you haven't got many stems in the vase. So something like that to start with. And then I'm going to be popping in our autumn bracken, which has got these lovely deep kind of brown, but also like that, it's got an undertone of that fiery orange to it, but not too much. So one of them in there, that was already bent actually, and then one quite a bit lower, probably about there, peeping in at the front, something like that. And next I'm going to pop in our moss branch. So this is a new favourite to me. It's got such a beautiful realistic texture. It's kind of like spongy, but crispy and dried, if that makes sense. And you just get so much on each branch. So you can really pull and work all of these little side branches through the foliage and the flowers. So I've already bent this stem, but just for reference about there. So I've really taken it down quite a bit. And I'll use that probably as my highest point in the arrangement. And just wiggle that in, about there. And I'm just going to face it towards me a second, just so I can see how we're doing. But that all looks fine. And then I'm going to be putting in our dried beige achillea. So with these, we've got 3 of these. So we want them to be varying heights and facing different angles so that they're not all kind of staring in one direction or all too bunched up, creating a line. So you really want to avoid any lines when you've got anything big like these focal flowers. So I'm going to get one in really quite low, right near the neck, and I'm just going to use that wire in the stem to pull it forward a touch. And like pull any of the branches, the ferns that you've got around it, just to make it feel really nice and nestled in there. And then next, I'm going to have one coming up around about here, facing outwards, so not facing forwards at all. So I'm just going to bend that down. That's probably a bit too much. It's a fine line between what's too similar in height and then suddenly what's not. They'll start to look quite disjointed, you'll notice. And then the last one, not quite full height, just going to take a couple of inches off the bottom and having it over this way, facing towards me. So you've got one facing towards me, one facing kind of diagonally, and the other one's looking the other way. And then they just feel a bit more natural and in keeping. And then we've got our autumn bud spray and our natural budding willow. So these 2 stems together just add so much texture. So this one's going to add a nice bit of depth because it's darker, and this one kind of brings everything kind of alive a little bit, and just, yeah, it just really helps. So I'm going to have one of these at full height because they're not too tall and they're just quite nice doing that, and just kind of let that flop where it kind of wants to, because these are quite floppy stems. And then this one, I'm going to bend it down a little bit, and I've got quite a bit of a gap going on here, so I'm quite conscious of that I want to plug that. And it also helps to break up the focal flowers when you've got other interest going on in between it. And then lastly, our lovely soft touch natural budding willow. I'm going to have one kind of in the middle, or actually maybe down here. So, because I'm probably standing on this side and not moving too much, I can't always see it, but this side kind of looks like it just needs something there. So I'm going to be bending the stem down to bridge that gap a little bit, so probably a bit more bend. And then I'm pulling them shorter branches, making sure they kind of fall forwards in there. And then last stem I'm going to leave at full height, because I just want a bit of something right through the back here that's going to give, it's kind of echoing what it's doing in the front, but it's far enough away for it to all feel like one big lovely arrangement. So I'm just going to take a step back and come around and just see where we're at. It's often at this point that I go, oh goodness, maybe I should have turned it around sooner, but no, we're okay. And that is our faux Autumn Brambles Deluxe arrangement. I hope you really enjoy watching, and yeah, enjoy arranging your stems. And if you give it a go, I would love to see them in your homes.